There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out, slowly feel all that's around you, all that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
You are welcome here. Thank you for tuning in on IG, Facebook, and Instagram. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to you wherever you are at this very moment in time. Thank you for tuning in to yourself first. And if you didn't tune in to yourself before you showed up, tune in now. Take a moment to breathe in and breathe out. Do it again. Take another deep breath. Breathe out. And like Rev D would remind us, do one more time. Take a deep breath. Breathe out. Surviving your evolutionary process. Evolution, however you want to say it, it's the same. Wherever you are in the world, it's the same. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. And as you tune in, you give yourself the opportunity, you afford yourself the opportunity to really listen. And in your listening, you allow yourself to be transformed. Because in listening, you get to follow the guidance. You move and do things that come so naturally. Sometimes you don't even know why you're doing it. But if and when you open yourself up to guidance, sometimes you find, a lot of times actually, well, let me talk about my experience. Yeah, there were some things I did today. I knew I wanted to do it. And a few minutes ago, I saw how what I did, I needed to do. And sometimes when you're listening, when you tuned in, right, you do things that seems natural. You don't even think it's intuition nudging you. You just did it. It's natural. But sometimes people may not notice it. You may want to highlight it. You could, if it's necessary, if that's the guidance. But if not, rather than even try to get people to see what you did, how about recognize what you did? And just tap into a place of gratitude. Step into great attitude. That's what gratitude is. Gratitude is a great attitude. When you step into that place, you remind yourself that there is a life, there is a force, there is a power, there's a presence that is guiding you. And when you are aligned, you will do what you need to do without even thinking about it. It would just be a natural thought. You think about it actually, but just natural. It's nothing like you have to overanalyze. I am Ade Anifawishe. I am your transformational beingness artist. I am your transformational shadow worker. Let's do some shadow work, shall we? Welcome to another episode of Being You. It is journey back to yourself. And it's a place and a space, a conversation that invites you to look within as you look without. This is episode 27, season 3. Today's date is August 17th, 2021. And if you're in the UK, then it's the 17th of August, 2021. Sometimes when people, holy shift, and that's right, Carol, holy shift, the shift has hit the fan. Welcome, Carol. Thank you for being here. Thank you, all those of you who are listening, wherever you're listening from, on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Maybe you're catching it live or the archive. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Ade presents Being You, as I said earlier, as an invitation for you to take a look at yourself. How do you see yourself? How do you see the world? How do you see yourself in the world? And how do you see the world in you? That might be a new concept for some people. It's like, what does that mean? The world in me? The world is not in me. The world is out there. There's no out there. You are it. And it is you. What you see is a projection of consciousness. Your consciousness and the collective consciousness. It's hard for the intellectual mind to get that. And we are moving into a place where we're recognizing the things are shifting. We're having a new understanding, a new awareness of ourselves. We're recognizing that we're more than flesh, that we must honor and acknowledge our emotions, our feelings, sensations, and triggers. Whether you want to call it negative, whether you call it positive, it really doesn't matter. So today's conversation is really about supporting you, supporting myself, supporting us, and sharing tools and tips and ideas and insight so that we can survive our evolutionary process. your evolutionary process. We are in the middle of a great shift. We are shifting, and it's scary. We're shifting, and we see it showing up in so many ways. And sometimes we think, oh, it's bad government. Yeah, it's that. But the badness of a government is being revealed. So you get to see what was once in the dark. You get to see what was once invisible. You get to see how we're treating one another. You get to see how sometimes the media like to play games with ratings. Like suddenly we're finding out about Taliban and Afghanistan and the stuff that's happening. So did this happen when Biden said we're pulling out? Or has this been happening before? Are there other things happening that we don't know about? Of course, there are loads of things happening that we don't know about. There are things happening in your world that we don't know about. And it all belongs, it all matters. That's what we're talking about, surviving your evolutionary process. Thank you, Kwali, for being here. Marianne Alafia, my dear sister. Yes. So much. I'm so full. And, I don't necessarily know there's anything wrong with it. I don't always say I'm an empath, but I am, of course. I'm an intuitive. I'm a healer. I'm a teacher. I'm a transformational worker. I'm a shadow worker. And this is true for some of you, that there are times you feel a certain way and you may think it's you and you're trying to shift the energy. And you may even turn that on yourself and judge yourself for what you're feeling and thinking. And then sometimes you have a friend that says, are you sure this is yours? Or you get an insight like, wait a minute, I don't think this is just mine. I don't think it's mine, actually. So I'm sort of having that experience. It's been an interesting day, lots going on, and I'll share some of that. But I want to do an announcement, and I want to hear how you're dealing with the shit that is leading you to your shift. There ain't no shift without shit. Why is this shit happening? Because you're about to go through a shift. Can you see all the shit going on in the world? We're going through a shift. The shit is the manure. It shows up as struggle. It shows up as war. It shows up as greed. It shows up as people just doing inhumane things. It shows up in all kinds of ways. You just have to remember. You have to remember not to get caught up that you added more shit to it, that you recognize it. You might need to close your nose or close your eyes. In fact, I want you to open your nose and open your eyes so you can see what's going on and bring your consciousness to it so that you can be part of the shift. If it's not you, there'll be somebody else. But every opportunity, every moment is a chance to shift. There's a chance to change. There's a chance, every moment there's a chance to transform. Not because there's anything wrong, particularly the moments that feels very uncomfortable. It's because something in you recognize that something needs to change. Uncomfortable doesn't mean you try and numb it. I said I'll get to that. I'm going ahead of myself. I'm full. So it's spewing out. Georgina, nice to see you. Thank you for being here. I want to invite you to like and share this conversation. This is how you really part of, if you want to add to the shift in a holy, holy way, if you want to add some goodness to what is going on, maybe places where you're feeling like, I don't know what I can do. I don't know what is mine. Really, honestly, like the show, share the show, because then the algorithm goes, oh, people are liking it. Oh, this must be interesting. Somebody else catches it. Facebook tells it because Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, they want people to come to their site. So when you click it and they say, look, Quali just liked this show. It must be good. Marion just shared it. It must be good. Carol is like talking about it. And they come and listen. I'm like, I don't have time. This sounds good, but I got to go. Okay, I'll sit here for 5 minutes. Oh, I really got to go, but this is good. I know it's good. I have no doubt about that. They're like, this is good. Oh my God. Ooh, let me call my doctor's appointment and see if I can change my schedule. Maybe I can move it. I'm going to be late. And before you know it, a shift takes place. It's a domino effect of transformation. Anything that you love, anything that you watch, that you enjoy, that's transformative. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's like, oh, this is horrible. And sometimes we share more of the horrible things because we want people to see it. We want to share how the Karens and the Kens are getting it together and doing what they do. But I have made a choice that sometimes I'm not going to share it. Most times I don't share it anymore. I'm not giving it the power that it doesn't deserve. It doesn't deserve my energy. I'm going to starve it to death, literally, so that it could have its own evolution, to transform, to shift. So we're inviting you to like and share the show. Also inviting you to go to facebook.com/Being You Podcast and like it, leave a comment. It's a good place to have your conversation, especially if you're listening through other platforms. I may not see your questions, but if you go to the facebook.com/Being You Podcast, then I can see the things that you're sharing or the questions. So let me run through some announcements real quick. As always, we have Namaste, my dear sister Jackie New Jays. There is Lipson. If you have a podcast, thinking of starting a podcast, and you're looking for a hosting site, what just happened? Hey, stop messing around. Oh, this is on a timer thing. What? Oh, this ain't supposed to be happening. Ain't nobody got time for some rubbish. Okay, there we go. Yes, stay right there while I talk. So if you're looking for a hosting site for your podcast, go to libsyn.com, libsyn.com. Make sure you use the promo code. Go in there, check out the services. If you want a free month, at least use the promo code ADE. Now, you can get more than a month. It just depends on when you sign up. Today's the 17th. If you sign up today, you get the rest of August free and the whole of September. Now, if you're not in a hurry and don't mind waiting till the 2nd of September, you get the whole of September free and the whole of October free. So, check it out. Check out what they got. They got a lot of things. I'm not going to go through it. You can do your research, compare, and make sure you use the promo code ADE. Other than that, you ain't getting poop. Because I give you stuff. Every Wednesday, my dear friend and I, Ricky Bias, we host a show called Soul Fulfilling. To find out more, go to Ricky's website. Well, you can go to her website, but it is at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and 2 a.m. UK time. So Fulfilling. If you want to catch the show, you go to youtube.com/Ricky Bias. That's RICKIE. Don't go spelling Ricky's name RIKY. That ain't it. Or RICKY, I meant to say. Get it right. And I often post it anyway, so you can find it there. I'm inviting you to join my mailing list by going to lifecoachade.com, lifecoachade.com. And a reminder, some of you may know this already, but the show right now, Ade Presents Being You, is only broadcasting twice a month. That's the first Tuesday and the third Tuesday. So the first Tuesday is Rev D. The third Tuesday, me going solo, or I might have a guest. But going so long before coming back, which is probably like a month, I just have a lot bubbling up in me. So if I have a guest, they must be damn good. and they really have something to say. And I know a lot of people like that, but right now I'm full. That's right, Quali. Ain't nobody got time for some rubbish. That's it. So, yes, every first and third Tuesday until January, then we go back to every week. Just some things. Keep an eye out. If you join my mailing list, you will get updated information. I am going to be part of a summit that's coming up in October, put together by the Shift Network. I'll give you some more information. So watch this space, whatever that space is, IG, Facebook, YouTube, my mailing list. If you join my mailing list, it's a lot easier that way. And plus, I want you to join my mailing list straight up. And the other thing that's happening in October is I'm hosting a numerology virtual class with a dear friend of mine. Once again, join the mailing list if you're into numerology. If you don't, you may want to vote. Well, I need to take this off now. Yeah. So you're like, we hear his voice, but we don't see him. Here he is. On IG, you don't get to see that. Sorry. Thankfully. But yeah, so a class on numerology, which we're talking about making it a series, because when you understand your numbers, when you understand your PIN, your personal year number, your life will make more sense. Your evolutionary process will make more sense. When you understand the PIN number for the year you're in, for people you love, people that you care about, you might find that you're more compassionate, more understanding, or maybe a little bit more peaceful. Like, you know what? I'm just going to bear it because I know it's going to pass. There's a science to what's going on in the world. There is a method. There is a not equation, but that's not the word I'm looking for. It's even more than a reason. See, we rely so much on our eyes and what we hear, what we feel, the five senses. But there's so much more going on behind the scenes. Think about it. Your body's doing what it's doing right now. And you're not thinking a lot about it, other than if you're thirsty, you drink some water, like I am right now. If you're hungry, you get some food. But once you eat the food, once you drink the water, your body's taking care of the rest. Your kidney's doing what it needs to do. Your heart is doing what it needs to do. The only time you really pay attention to it is when it's calling for your attention. And oftentimes, when your organs are calling for your attention, it's like, ow, ow. Sometimes we get to emergency room to understand, to see what is happening. But there's so much going on behind the scenes. And so I strongly recommend that when you see things going on in the world, before you add more to the bullshit, unless that's what you're guided to do. I don't know how that works. But if you're guided to add more to the bullshit, do it. But before you do, take a breath and see if you can see what is happening differently. If you get bad news, if you get news that you normally would call a bad news of things not going right, take a breath before you label it, before you give it an interpretation, to say, let me just stop telling you what I know, because whatever you call it, whatever you name it, will determine how you relate to it. Hey, Pat, nice to see you. Glad to see you too. Well, I don't see you, you see me. It's not fair. I see your picture. We are growing through and going through a lot. And there's some of us really having the time of our lives. It's like, this is great. But yet, we're still observing what's going on in the world and saying, And sometimes when we don't want to be with it, when we're too afraid to look with the eyes of love, we project judgment. We say it's because they ain't doing this right, or because they ain't doing that right, or this is what's happening. They don't belong to the right religion. They don't believe in the God that I believe in. They don't worship the way I do. They atheists or whatever. All of that doesn't matter. That's just things that we come up with. What matters is, where's your heart? Where's your soul? Your heart, your soul doesn't live in a religion. Your heart and soul doesn't need right or wrong to exist, to express. Yes, religion does help some people to support themselves in aligning their hearts and soul and in what is highest and best. I'm not going to say what is right, what is highest and best for their soul experience. And sometimes religion would actually take you the wrong direction. Have you judged yourself? Have you judged what you feel about yourself? Have you judged your sexuality? Have you judged the fact that you're pleasuring yourself? Have you judged that you're having sex? Have you judged that you're alive? Have you judged that you exist? And something in you says, wait a minute, this ain't supposed to be like this. But then you've heard the man, the woman said so. It must be you. Then you allow yourself to accept that there's something wrong with you. And then you go to God, whatever you call name, Allah, Buddha, fix me. And God is like, sorry, I'm not in the fix it business because there's nothing wrong with you. You're enough. Why can't God fix me? Because God can't fix what don't need fixing. There ain't nothing to fix. There's nothing to fix. We're not broken. Life is breaking us open, but we are not broken. And then take a breath. You think of the word survive. You go to dictionary.com. Survive means continue to live or exist, remaining intact, especially in spite of danger or hardship. Survive. We're talking about surviving your evolutionary process. Surviving, remaining alive in the midst of it all, remaining alive, especially after the death of another or others. Evolution, the process by which different kinds of living organisms are believed to have developed from early forms during the history of the earth. And another definition, which really speaks to what I'm talking about today, the gradual development of something. Human beings are gradually developing into something different. I'm reading a book that Rev D mentioned 2 weeks ago. When she said it, it's called, the title of the book is Frequency. I recommend it. But the author is Penny Pierce. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce her name, but Frequency, Your Personal Vibrational Power. Google it, you'll find it. And things that I've been feeling, sometimes it's like, yes, that's exactly it. And we are moving from an information age to an intuition age. We are all intuitive. Some of us need to develop it. We are all one. And we got to tend to the oneness. That's right, Carol. We are all one. Pat said, oh my God. Does that mean my religion was like living in a box, almost like a prison? Yes. Yep, we're not broken. Life is so powerful. There's so much to this thing called life that is almost scary. And those who came before us, based on their own understanding, based on their own fear. I'm going to share a quote with you about fear that someone shared with me today. I felt goosebumps when I heard it. Based on their own fear, like parents, there are things that you don't want your children to do because you did that when you were younger, or you did something like that. You don't want it to happen for your children. So you try and protect them, tell them not to do it. A mother is like, when I was 16, don't be like me. I had a child when I was 16. When I was 14, I don't want the same thing to happen. Well, if you keep that going, that kind of vibe, chances are you will. Because your daughter would say to you, well, you're still here. You raised me. I turned out all right. So it's not a bad thing. If a young girl gives birth to a child at 14, we go, Nah, I got to do it right. I can't. Somehow it doesn't feel right. I did a black woman to do it. Nobody can do like a black woman. If a woman does a black woman does a next to you, and she comes from deep, oh boy, you need to ask what's going on. So I was just having a thought about something that happened, and I remember how I would have responded differently in the past, but now it's different. You know what I'm talking about. when we parent from fear, we're actually energizing, amplifying fear. How about empowering the child that you're going to make some choices, you're going to make some mistakes, you're going to have some experiences, there's going to be hard sometimes, painful, it might even be life-threatening. We need to wake up that as part of this evolution to really get to that stage when talking about the age of Aquarius, the intuitive age where, you know, the whole conversation about being an empath, everybody seems to know it now. And people were like, you know what happens, my regular listeners, when I'm about to say something, I stop. I laugh because I'm like, okay, take it down a notch. We seem to learn new things about what it means to be human. And generally speaking, and then sometimes there is a tendency to make that a bad thing. Like, I learned that I'm an empath. Now I understand why I was feeling what I was feeling when I was younger. Great. And then that could evolve to being, oh, this is just too much for me to bear because I'm an empath. It is too much for me to bear. I can't handle it. I feel people's energy. True. However, if you know you feel energy, take care of yourself. Whether that's crystals, whatever that is. And because you're an empath, that means you're tapped in. Ask your guides, ask God, ask the divine to guide you, to protect you. There's really nothing out here to harm us. Ultimately, that's a whole different conversation, but it's part of this conversation. We become so afraid of life. And part of releasing that fear is really allowing ourselves to admit that there are parts of life that's very hard and very difficult. There are parts of life that's challenging. We don't always like to say that. Don't say that. Don't be negative. Okay. But the truth is, in life, we go through hell. That's why most of us is seeking the heaven consciousness. It's not a location. It's a state of mind where you're like, why is this happening to me? I feel like God has forsaken me. I feel like I'm being punished. That's hell. But then someone shows up in your life. Something shows up in your life. Something happens and you're like, thank you, God. God got me out of it. My friend, that was a miracle. Miracles are always happening. The fact that I can talk and breathe and read and process, that's a miracle. My body is digesting what I had a few hours ago, oatmeal that made me tired before the show. My body's doing what it needs to do. And I can look at what's in front of me here. I can look at you. I can see names. I can just think about what your body is doing right now. Think of the wisdom of the wisdom of your body. And that's not even the whole of it. The wisdom that is guiding your body is guiding you. That wisdom is life. Some people would say, we're here to learn. We're here to teach. We're here to discover our purpose. We're here to be kind to others, to be of service. So many different things that they say we're here to do and be and have. And all of it's like, okay, great. As we move into this age of intuition, it is important to put yourself first. To put yourself first. Before you start to say, I want to be of service. I don't even want to say it like that. I want to say it differently. As you're being of service, make sure that you are part of this service that you are being. Let the service that you're offering be an extension of you. Sometimes you're going to get guidance to go somewhere. and you may be fearful or nervous, you would know that you're being led there, because sometimes the fear is just letting you know that you are stepping out of your comfort zone. Sometimes the nervousness is like, don't go there. Yes, I know you want to go be of service. Don't go there. How do you know the difference? It's simple, but depending on your level of consciousness, it may be a bit challenging to figure it out. That's not to scare you. If you understand and remember that there is no spot where God is not. There is no spot where God is not. God is a divine. I like using God. Sometimes I say spirit. Sometimes I say the universe, the divine. God is a power and a presence that is having its way through and as you. So when you're going somewhere to be of service and you're nervous and you're not sure if you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, or maybe you're being warned to not go, you can just ask, if it is highest and best for me to go to this place, to this venue, to this person, open up the way. Let me know. Show me. Guide me. Someone might call. It might suddenly start raining. You didn't even know. You're like, oh my God. And before you step out there, it's like a downpour. We're always connected. So when we know that there is no spot where God is not, and we embrace and allow ourselves to accept the truth that life is always for us, life is not a problem to solve. We are conditioned to solve it. We're told to solve the problem of life. And then maybe eventually you'll discover why you were born. Your presence itself is the only discovery that you need, that you're worthy and you're here. Your purpose, all of us, our purpose is to love. And because we're in a human body, we have to discover what this love is. And the choices you make determines how you experience your evolutionary process, the shift, the change, the transformation that you're going through. If you believe that you're not loving yourself enough, and the reason you're not being loved, you're not loving yourself enough, is because God knows you need to love yourself some more, maybe that's your path. Here's what I want to say while talking about that. I just need, air quotes, I need everyone to understand there are many paths that leads to God, to the divine, to truth. There is no one way. There is no one way to do this thing called life. All of us that are teachers, those of us that are teaching, that's written books, doing webinars, TEDx, we are sharing our wisdom based on our own experience. And yes, when you listen to us, when you listen to me, when you listen, well, let's say stay there for a minute, and it resonates with you, it's because, yes, there's something there to pay attention to. Sometimes it doesn't resonate with you because you're pushing it back, like, I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that, because you're trying to stay in your small space. And sometimes I don't know about all that is because your soul, your spirit's like, yep, that's their experience. This is not yours. So in order to navigate this thing called life, it invites you to open yourself up to courage, to trust in the invisible, trust in what you can't always define in words. So the more we acknowledge that there are things in life that are challenging, that causes pain, that causes suffering. God is good, yes. And God is all there is. So if God is good and God is all there is, what do you say about other things that you say is not good? If God is all there is, for me, you might say, I don't believe God is all there is. I think there's God and the devil. I think there's God and the evil forces. Okay. I can't even fight you with that. I don't live my life like that. There are experiences and conversations and things that I've seen that makes me go, yeah, God is all there is, but God, I'm challenged to see. I'm constantly trying to understand some things. As a Nigerian man, born in the UK, and some of the things that I know about my culture that I'm still hearing today, not just about Nigeria, but Africa and other places, like, I want to understand it. Because as a teacher, I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to teach from a place of truth, from my heart, from my experience, and also recognize that I'm accountable to spirit. I'm accountable to God. So it's not just, oh, I learned this. Oh, great. I'm going to go share that with them. No, I've done that before. I want to share this. And I'm sure I've been time where I've been like careless with what I shared because it felt good. It resonated with me, but I hadn't practiced it. We all been through that. Because there are things that I've shared that I really believed in. I know it's true. And then when I found myself in a pickle in life experiences, those ideas did not work for me. I had to let it go. That's the invitation as you evolve, as we move. We are literally in the middle of a world ending and a new one beginning. We are becoming a different kind of human beings. Some people say we're moving from 3D to 5D. We're becoming different. We've been even more perceptive. It's changing. If you want to say the divine feminine is rising. Yeah, you can say that. But careful before you go say, yeah, the divine masculine has been, it's been running rampant out here. No. What's happening? Balance is happening. And why is the balance happening? Because more of us are waking up. More of us are brave enough. And more of us are living in countries where we can speak this truth. There are those who feel this and live in a country where if anybody found out that they're thinking the thought, they can get snuffed out. And yet they're also finding ways to express that. To press out. If you don't express your goodness, you're going to be depressed. You're going to be depressing it. And you wonder why you're heavy. When we acknowledge that life can be hard sometimes, we give ourselves permission to grieve. Let me go back to the fear conversation. So I was talking to someone today. She was actually, it's a business meeting, and I was sort of reaching out. Long story short, business meeting, she's giving me some advice, and I was telling her about my work, what I do. She works for international corporation, and she's head of corporate affairs, and the company's in America, is here, and we just had a great meeting. Funny, when we started, I was full of emotions and looking at parts of my business that I'm not happy with, or like, wow, why is this still like this? By the time we finished the conversation about an hour later, I was like, what I thought I didn't have, I already have. I just need to implement things differently. Anyway, while we were talking, she just blurted out. I was saying something about how people are being and we're so afraid. And she just said, what is that? I had to write it. I told her I'd give her credit. She said, I know it actually. I just want to make sure. Yeah, she said, the fear of fear. She used it in a statement, but that's all I'm going to say. She said, yeah, it's the fear of fear. And when she said that, I felt goosebumps. I'll say her last name because she might not want me to give her whole name. I'll say her first name, but I won't give her the last name. Her name is Allison. So when Allison said the fear of fear, whew, I felt it. I said, whoa, that's powerful what you just said. And she was like, I was just talking. And that's what happens sometimes when you are in a conversation, in a relationship, in an exchange, and you're tuned in and you're listening, you find yourself saying things that you're like, I've never said that before. The fear of fear. Think about it. We're sometimes conditioned to be afraid. We live in a time where we're told to be afraid. You're going to have some kind of disease. Somebody might drop a bomb. Somebody from another country spying into what you're doing. Your social media apps that you're addicted to and listen to what you're saying. Alexa is doing this. Google is doing that. So we're afraid. So we turn microphones off. We wonder what's happening. We get pissed off. It's like, wait, I was just talking about this. Why is it showing up on my computer? Oh my God, they're really listening. Maybe that's true. There's some kind of listening thing going on. Yes. But where are we putting our attention? So there's those things that we are afraid of, but then we fear itself. So sometimes we don't even get to deal with fear because we're spending more time protecting ourselves from fear as opposed to dealing with the fear itself. So look at places in your life where you have been litten. Whoa, what was that? Littening? I have no idea what that was. Listening, leaning into, I don't know what just happened, but think of places in your life where you've been listening, aligning with the fear of fear. So it could look like this. So you listen to Ade Presents, being you, and it kind of have you look at your life differently. Like, yeah, I used to be afraid of that, but I feel empowered now. So because the fear has been addressed, you feel like you could do something. You can move forward. You can take action. But if the fear of the fear is not addressed, when you try to take action, the fear of the fear will be like, not too soon. You messing around, listen to that dude. No. Don't do that. You trying to die? When you address the fear of fear, you see clearly. When you address the fear of fear, you see clearly. Because fear of itself really has no power over us. You're told, be afraid. And now you're afraid of what you're told to be afraid of. We're living in a society where if you keep listening to just what's out there, and if you want to listen to that, that's fine. No, let me say that differently, because I'm not telling you not to do it. And it's not that I'm afraid of telling you what to do or not to do. That's right, not to do. I'm inviting you to pay attention to your own actions, to your own thoughts. So if you are listening more to the people who are talking about what you need to be afraid of, what's going to happen, and you find yourself being afraid of people that you love and care about, you might want to check yourself, because I think you're about to wreck yourself. Rev D is always talking about the scripture where it says God did not give us a spirit of fear. We do not have the spirit of fear. Fear is the opposite of love. What is love? Acceptance. What is love? Freedom. Fear is literally believing in the fear is believing that love can be threatened. I need to do something. Fear. Whew. That's not what I wanted to say, but I couldn't get the word out. And fear is believing that love can be threatened. When you believe that love, your love, divine love can be threatened, then you're vulnerable. Because your belief that love can be threatened means you can be threatened. Now you're not safe anymore. You're not secure. But it's fine, because love is going to continue to love you when you don't trust in love. You just might not experience that love is loving you because you think love ain't loving you, because something might threaten love. So there's so many things that's coming, and I thank you for your participation and sharing in the chat room, because it allows me to go places that I wanted to go. I've made notes, but I ain't looking at my notes right now because the notes was made from somewhere. So I already have the notes. And your question, thank you, Sandy. Sandy said, well, I actually call you Pat, right? Or Sando. Yeah, you tricking me. Let me see what you're on Facebook. Anyway, it don't matter. You know who you are. Pat. There you go. Pat. Sandell is your last name, but you flip it on Instagram. Okay, got it. Pat said the question is how to overcome the fear. I want to hear you share it in the chat room. How do you overcome fear? Share it, and I'm going to continue because there's a 10-second delay. And we got time, I think. Oh, wow, really? Let me tell you how I do it. And there are other ways, tools I can share with you, but I'll tell you how I do it. I would tell you that for a long time, well, particularly the last 2 months, I've been looking to move into a new apartment. I have reached out. There's been a lot of calls that I've made. I've gone through frustration. And in going through the frustration, I chose to drum. Some of you saw that drumming session. And it inspired a lot of people. And when I finally found another place, because I found one that ended up going down the drain, because some people didn't do what they're supposed to do, but it's divine. When I finally found the one, and then I spoke to the person managing this place, the questions it was asking me was making me nervous because I was ready to move. And everything was saying, it's time. It's time. And I wasn't sure how that was going to happen. So in that moment, when I started to feel fear, like, it's my last chance, I had to remind myself, no, it's not. No, it's not. When you're in the midst of something that's causing you to feel fear, you sometimes need yourself to talk yourself off the ledge. What do you believe in? What is true for you? You may be led to open a book. You open it and it speaks exactly to what you're dealing with. Sometimes you're in the midst of a conversation. So, you can still reach for a book and you see it. It may be a number. It may be whatever. But in that moment, take a deep breath and remind yourself about what is true. Now, here's the thing. If you want to overcome fear, you don't wait to be in a fearful moment to try and overcome it. It's like an athlete waiting to go to the Olympics before they start working out. They have practice that they do before that. You overcome fear, the mindset of fear, by doing the work before you find yourself in that place. So that when you're in that place and fear comes up and you're like, whoa, I didn't think this would make me nervous or make me afraid, make me scared. You have a way of tuning in and getting the guidance that you need. Maybe you're not getting guidance. Maybe it's just simply for you to go, one of the best things you can do to bring yourself back to alignment is connect with your breath. Breath is life, and life is God. You are the breath of God. When you get an inspiration, it's an inspire, in spirit. The spirit in you is breathing through and as you. How do you overcome fear? Meditate. And especially the spiritual practice that you resist the most, those are the ones you want to pay attention to. Just like a gym. How do you lose weight? How do you feel fit? How do you strengthen your muscle? You go to the gym. How do you strengthen your spiritual muscles? You go to the spiritual gym. So that when fear comes, the same person I was talking to that's managing the property, we had a conversation yesterday, and I was signing some forms, and I said, wait, I need to check some things here because I haven't seen these things, and I won't go into too much in detail. But what I asked turned to him saying, well, then you can go do this and do that since you don't trust me and everything I've done. I'm like, whoa, slow down, rabbit. This ain't about not trusting you. And then the conversation kind of continued, and I said, listen, I just need you to know that this has nothing to do with whether I trust you or not. It's about me signing contract. Period. Anything could happen. Something could happen to you, and somebody else takes over. And they're like, well, this is what it says on here. And in that moment, I had a choice. And I just checked in. Spirit said, go ahead and do what you need to do now. And then if there's anything later, you can just let them know it's going to be all right. Because in that moment, too, there was a fear like, wait, what if I sign this and then I see something different? Oh, my God, what's going to happen? What if someone else takes over? Oh, my God, then I'm going to get in trouble. In that moment, I stopped. And the tuning in wasn't like, I mean, it can be sometimes. It was just quick. I just knew in my body, it's like, go ahead, it's fine. Because sometimes we create more drama in our lives by thinking it's going to happen. Worrying is going to happen. There's a lot of comments in the chat room. Let me check it out. Check it out. That's right, Pat. Spiritual practice is the key. I don't care what you call it. Just do the work. If you don't like work just feels heavy to me. Well, it's okay. Do the play. Do the cultivating. It doesn't matter. You just got to give your soul, your spirit, the space and permission to guide you. How do you want to do that? Listen to music, going for a walk? Do it. Let me look at some of these things. Yes, Marion said, that's what I need to hear, addressing the fear of fear. When you address the fear of fear, you just might find out that what made you fearful didn't even exist. As part of applying for this process of getting a new house, I got an email from a local department of things I needed to fill in. When I saw it, I was like, oh my God, I got to give you a list of all my earnings for the last year. Haven't even done my taxes. This is going to take a long time. And I said, I'll do it. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow came. Tomorrow wasn't here. And I'll do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then I had one day to do it. And I said, rather than wait for the day off, because I know this is going to take a long time, I decided to just, you know what, just do it. Some people say bite the bullet, but I ain't biting no bullet because there ain't no bullet coming my way. Because I might be too jittery and miss the bullet, and the bullet might. Anyway, I said, let me just go ahead and do it now. So I went into those. You could do it online. I was doing answering the questions. And then there was the first three questions was yes, no, yes, no. And then I think the fourth question was, did you earn more or less than this certain amount? I needed to answer yes, no. And then I went to the next page. I think there was a yes, no, or it gave me the list of all my answers. And it said, is there anything you want to change? What you mean? That's it? All they needed was me to say yes, no to the question. They've asked the question. And if it applies to me, say yes. If it doesn't, say no. And there was a part where they just said, have you earned this certain amount in a month? Have you more than that or less than that? Yes or no? That was it. And they said, yeah, have I earned that in the last year? That was it. So the fear of fear. Here I was thinking, oh my God, I have to go there. I can't even tell you, someone told me about Kevin Hart's joke. So I'm not going to act like I know how he said it. But based on how my checking account is set up, it's set up in all kind of ways, converting dollars to pounds. And it ain't easy. And it was such a lesson that here I was, took about 5 days, if not longer, worrying about what I had to do that nobody was asking for. But I made up the story because somewhere in me, I'm thinking things are going to be difficult. When you allow yourself to believe the process to getting what you say you want is going to be difficult, you are entertaining the fear of fear. And when you address the fear of fear and you get to the thing that you think is difficult, you're like, oh my God, If I did this homework last night or last week, I have so much more to say. Now I can't get it all done because I have to submit it at 11:59. It's so simple. Gina, nice to see you, my dear sister. Marion said, sometimes I feel the fear and do it anyway. Yes. Sometimes you feel the fear and do it anyway. Sometimes you feel the fear and you sit your ass down. because because life is paradoxical. It's not like you take this approach and then move forward. Sometimes you might want to just stop. Can you imagine a paramedic that comes to a scene of a situation? Sometimes they feel kind of fearful, but they understand. They know what they're doing. There's confidence. They move forward. But sometimes they could be kind of fearful. Can you imagine the doctor saying, I'm about to do brain surgery. I feel the fear, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's like, oh, hell no, you're not. But how do we know whether to move forward or sit the behind down? Sit the behind down. It's like, no, sit. Guidance, listening, tuning in. Now, you might say, well, I don't know about guidance. You keep talking about what is guidance thing? Sometimes it's not even obvious. Just take action. But if you start with the idea, the understanding, the truth that God is all there is, there's nothing else. I am one with it. It is one with me. It's not even God and I are one. That's implying that there's two. God and I and two. Where? Where's God? Right here. Where's God? Right here. You're in it. It's in you. Start with that idea and understand and remind yourself that you're never separated from it. So when you're going through and growing through your evolutionary process, things feel challenging. Yes, I'm telling you, I've had some things come up. I've had things come up with friends. I'm like, what the is going on here? And I have to bring myself back to the center. Trust the process. Trust the process. Trust the process. You can segment intend, to quote Abraham. Before you go to bed, write what tomorrow is going to be like. Tomorrow is going to be a great day. I'm going to get up feeling refreshed. I'm going to make my breakfast. My son, my daughter, my children, they're all going to sit. We're going to have a great time. Write it. No, you're not trying to change anybody. You're just tuning in. No matter what shows up, even if it knocks me out of my center, I will know what to do. If it's not immediately, eventually. And if I still don't know what to do when I'm knocked out of my center, I will trust. I'm going to trust that God's got my back. I'm going to trust that everything is always working out for me. You program your consciousness that everything's always working out for you. When I finally found this place, the apartment that I'm moving into tomorrow, I got the keys already. Thank you for everybody who's rooting for me, for people who send me links. Can you imagine people in America were sharing links of places for rent? One that I got wasn't for rent. They were selling the house. And I think a friend in UK shared it with this my friend. She listens to me. Shared it with her in America, and then she shared it with me. The friend in UK who shared the link said, it's a bit pricey. And then it was shared with me. A bit pricey. Talk about consciousness and mindset. The place was for sale and is 1.3 million pounds. A bit pricey? Yeah, that's a little bit more than a bit pricey. That's pricey. I can afford it, but I'm choosing not to. But anyway, I digress. How did I get there? Yeah, so before I found this place, the night before, and I've shared this. Thank you, Nisi, Vonice. The night before, well, I've shared ways that you can communicate with your inner guide, your inner being, with God, with the divine, with your ancestors. Ask a question, write it. That's one way. There are many ways. Write it. How do I go about? No, stop. I was gonna say something, but I want to keep you guys on track. I get silly sometimes, but whatever. How do I deal with this bill that's due? Where do I get the money to pay for my mortgage? What do I need to do about this doctor's visit? What do I need to do about what's going on in the world? How do I learn to listen to guidance so it can be clear so I know because I want to? Something in me saying it's possible, but I doubt myself. Write it. And then get a pen. The same, well, it don't matter if it's the same pen. Some people say use your less dominant hand. I use the same hand. And write and let God, the divine spirit, reply back to you and write what you hear. Don't worry about, well, what if I'm making this up? Ain't nobody care about that. Just write. Just write. Just write. Well, I'm not sure if this is me or if it's God. Just write. Ain't nobody care about that. Write. That night when I wrote, the essence of what came through in the, if you want to call it automatic writing, was do not judge by appearances. And I'm telling you, if I did, I wouldn't have this apartment, because there were things that are like, I don't know. There's something else that happened yesterday. I won't go into it because everybody knows my business. But it was an application on the phone, on the online, that was asking for some information that I thought, ooh, I don't know about that other part of the information. And when I saw it, I was like, okay, God. And I got fearful a little bit, like, oh, this ain't going to turn out right. I said, no, we ain't doing that. Just breathe. It'll be what it needs to be, and you will have exactly what it needs. You have what they're asking for. My heart was doing what it was doing because I went into fear a little bit, and I chilled the flip down. And what would have been 3 questions, when the person entered the first question, the second question, it just went to the end. Like, it's done. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? Okay. Spirit reveals itself. Sometimes we don't always know. Sometimes we don't always see it. But spiritual path is trust. Trust into trust. Trust to trust. Don't fear the fear. It may sound like what I'm saying is simple. And it sounds like that is because it is. And because I want you to hear what I'm saying here, because I've been doing the work. Hear what I'm saying. I'm not saying I've been doing the work, you haven't been doing the work. That's not what I'm saying. Because some of you know my story. Well, you don't know my whole story, but you know some stuff I've been through. And those stuff has brought me to a point, because there were times when I was in it, when I was in a government retreat. I had nothing else but to trust in God. Like, wait a minute. I knew when Border Patrol stopped me. Oh, okay. I'm in New Mexico. I'll probably be back in Atlanta real soon. Oh, what a bummer. I don't get to go to the Bay Area. I was really looking forward to it. Nowhere did I think the idea of I'll be in a detention center for 40 days and 40 nights. Just, if I was told, I'd be like, go sit your ass down somewhere. Me? Never. But those 40 days, fine-tune my behind. And I know you can relate to it. You all have your experiences. Some of you that I know some of your stories. I know what you shared some of your stories with me. And it's those times when you're in between the ending of how you used to be of an experience and the beginning of a new one. Woo, it's hot. The quickest way to really, I don't know if it's the quickest way, but I'll say the best way I know to deal with what is the hardship of life, the struggles and the pain, is to give ourselves permission to grieve. You can't love fully if you don't grieve. You got to allow the heat of your grief. You got to allow it to burn. That heat of your grief, when it burns the illusions. It burns the fear. It burns to what you're worried about. But when it's burning, hold on. What's that song? Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. Everything gonna be all right. That's spiritual truth. This past Saturday, I want to read what's in the chat room. Sunday, actually, because this conversation around grief, as you know, you guys know that I do workshops, and it's a conversation that I've been having for a long time, and I keep seeing it everywhere now, even more so. Part of the problem, the depression that's going on in the world, all the issues that people are having in their body because we're not allowing ourselves to grieve. We say people in the West, yes, true, but it's a global thing. People don't want to grieve because we're told God is good. So if I'm feeling bad, then I'm not in God, or that can't be God, or that's God looking away from me. So we don't want to feel bad. So we want to feel good. But the feel bad helps us recognize what good is. I see what you did there, Nisi. Just right. It's just right. So I was part of a group. It was a 4-day event. I wasn't there every day. And on the last day, I knew I needed to be there. And in this group, we were doing real work, transformative work, in a sometimes joyful way, in ways that help us embody the change, the shift. I remember looking in that last session, look at everybody on Zoom. And there was two Black people. And I think really probably for the whole 4 days. I was in another session before that. And the session I was in, they were talking about dealing with grief. And I remember thinking, how do Black people grieve? How do we grieve in an embodied kind of way? Not that we don't, so don't get it twisted. But how do we grieve in a creative, self-expressive, breath way? How do we give our bodies permission to grieve in ways where we're not overcome by the grief itself? So that stayed with me. So by the time we made it into the second session, I was feeling it. I could feel the heat. We're wrapping up, and the stories that people were sharing was more on the happy side, and there are different things. And of course, I'm feeling what I'm feeling. And I'm like, I wanted to share, like, we're coming together and uniting, but there are people missing here. We're talking about uniting, but there are people missing here. And it's not just this one time. This happens a lot. And I was like, nope, I'm doing it. I can talk about it, but no. See, there's one thing to talk about things that's burning inside of you when you're around people that look like you, act like you, understand you, where you don't even have to finish and like, you better preach. But when you find yourself in a place where you think and feel that they won't understand, it's a little bit more challenging. Once again, the work that I put in, Resma Menicam, who wrote My Grandmother's Hands, pick it up. It teaches how the tools in there to deal with racialized trauma. He talks about putting in the reps. I've been putting the spiritual reps. So even in my fear, in my nervousness, I knew the story was bubbling. It was bubbling. And I knew that if the session ends and I don't share it, I punked out. And I knew that I cannot afford to punk out, because if I punk out, I am amplifying the same thing that I'm looking at and I'm unhappy about. And then, things happen. I was like, not yet. And I really was trying not to. But there came a time where I knew I needed to. And it turned out that the activity that we were doing, I was the last one. I really wasn't planning to go last. I was thinking it might be a good idea. And I brought the question forward that we need to address. Why is it that there's only 2 Black people here? And not just in this session, but in the group. We're people of African descent. How can we grieve? How can we talk about grief when we are not all grieving together? Because healing happens in community. And why is it that African people are missing in our gatherings often? We're missing out. And I remember sharing it, and as I opened my mouth, I could feel the heat of what I was feeling, and some of it I didn't even understand. And I was rocking just like I am doing now. And there's a little part of me going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Like, oh, your mouth is open now, you're telling it. And I expressed, I felt myself get emotional. And I finished. I muted myself. And tears started to flow down. I didn't know where it was coming from. I didn't even understand. I mean, I felt passionate about what I was feeling. But it's like tears were just pouring down. At one point, I closed my mic. No, my camera, turned it off. And Spirit said, oh, no, 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 no. You were talking about American people. African people being made invisible or not visible in this environment. Be visible. Be visible. So I turned my camera back on and tears were just pouring. And I'm like, I mean, I feel what I feel. I feel this, but I don't know why it's. I mean, I started to go like this, and they were giving love, genuine love. It took a while. I was talking to my lady later, and she was saying, did you ask if what was happening, was that yours? I said, you know what? Sometimes I forget to ask if it's mine. Now, when I'm working with other people, I tell them, well, to check and see if what you're feeling is yours. Maybe it's somebody else's. Maybe you're just picking it up. But when it's me, what I said at the beginning of the show earlier, I start to think, oh, it's me. I need to work with myself now. I didn't go down that path, but I still thought it was mine. No, not true. There was a point I thought it was mine. But there was another time where I realized, nah, this is bigger than me. This is something that needs to be spoken. And some of the white people in there said that it needs to be spoken. Thank you for being brave enough. And I realized that I was grieving. I was grieving. I was grieving for how people of African descent are made invisible. How that continent is often looked at as a poverty-ridden continent. How we as Africans, whether we're born on the motherland or not, that continent or not, start to see ourselves as less than. I was grieving that. I was grieving for those who couldn't grieve, who were not in the physical body anymore. I was grieving, and it was happening, and I allowed it. Sunday, I just didn't feel like doing nothing. I'm like, I just want to lay down. Time to lay down. Go lay down. I wanted to go lay down. And I did a little bit. Those of you who hadn't seen the video on IG won't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I slip things like that in every now and then. Grief can be messy. Most times it is. Whether you're denying it, whether you're bargaining, whether you're angry, whatever it is, whether you go through all the stages back and up and down, it's not necessarily important. It is, but it's not. What is more important is, can you allow yourself to go through what you're going through? Because the heat, the pain, the messiness of the grief itself will melt the lies, will melt the illusions, will melt the fears. That's why I call myself a shadow worker. I thrive, I enjoy, I love it. It is what I'm here to do. I don't have an issue going into that dark place with people, when people that I work with and they're afraid to go there. I can sit in there with them in the dark with the sound of the monster at the door banging to come in, and they're shaking. I can sit with them. I don't always have the tools when it's me. So I have people I can reach out to. When we grieve, the body becomes lighter eventually. The cells, they start to feel free and move a little bit more. Your cells get to celebrate. Celebration is a body thing. When you make room for the heaviness, you release depression. You release fear. What do you need to grieve that you're running from? Consciously or unconsciously. There is no one way to do life. And be careful when you get so polarized about your ideas. Why men are like this, why women are like this. I don't understand this non-binary shit. What does that mean? Gay, lesbian, God did not create that. Relax. Life is fluid. Everything is fluid. In fact, scientists will tell you that your whole body, just you put it under a microscope, it's just space. We are learning and understanding that we're so much more than this physical body. We're so much more than who we love. We're so much more. And that doesn't mean you discredit who you love and your body, but you're more than that. You're a spiritual being. You are actually a nobody. And writing your story of being a somebody. Spirit, God, the divine is no thing, is nothing. And everything comes out of this nothing. You, as an extension of the no thing, is a nobody. The essence of who you are can be contained. So you're showing up as somebody, as gay, as lesbian, as whatever, as a mother, as a father, as a teacher, as a student. But you're more than this. God, as you in you, is more than this. Spirituality is fluid. Life is fluid. It's not just sexuality that's fluid. Gender is fluid. Everything is fluid. And the people who are taking a stand and saying non-binary, they're brave enough to say, I want to shake this shit up so we can go through and grow through this evolutionary process that humanity is going through. And some of us are not going to be here to see it. We think there's something wrong where things are going all right. We are making room for more of God, for more of the divine. Let me look at the chat room. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being a part of this experience. Thank you for being a part of my experience. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your own experience. Just read in the chat room. Yes, Nisi said, because if one is in pain or grieving, they're not in pain for no reason. I know that's right. Girl, tweet that. Sometimes you grieve. Sometimes you feel sad and you don't even know why. I don't know why I feel sad. My life is good. But you're part of everything. Your life can be very good and sometimes you feel sad. I moved into this, I'm moving in tomorrow, but I went there yesterday and I have to keep checking. My girlfriend asked me, so how do you feel? And I was like, I don't know. Because it's been a long road to get there. But when I was sending a message back to her, I was like, well, I don't know how. Well, I guess I feel something now. Something about when you speak too, boy. It's been to God, it's in the eyes of God, in the eyes of the divine, in the eyes of spirit, just like this. But to me, it's been a long road. And so to be in that apartment, when I finally voiced it, first I was like, okay, I need to clean that. I need to get this. I'm not touching that. I need to wipe that down. They said they clean it, but I'm going to clean it my way. I was just in that mode. But when I start to express the frustration, the tears that I've held down, had an opportunity to come up. And even today, I'm still in the middle of moving and things. And right now, if you're looking at me right now, I look like I got my shit together, and I do. But if I show you what's around me here, you'll be like, dang, he needs to release some shit. Maybe. No, but there's things I need. But you don't get to see that. Sometimes we present life like that. Like, yes, I got my ring light. I got my microphone. And, you can do it. You got to hustle. You got to believe in yourself. True. But those of us that are hustle teachers, you got some shit going on. Because, it's the manure that grows you. Don't get me started. Anyway. Yes, my dear sister Dorothy. Nice to see you. Whew. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Nisi says, she said, this is awesome, Ade, because this morning, after reading my morning devotional, the question arose, what is my greatest challenge? Thank you for sharing that, Nisi. What is your greatest challenge? What is our greatest challenge? What is your greatest challenge? What is your family's greatest challenge? What is the society's greatest challenge? What were your ancestors' greatest challenge? When you ask questions like that, it takes you to places you didn't even know existed. You find yourself in a place where you'll start to go, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get out. But don't worry, God's got your back. And if you can't hear the voice of God, I'm here. I'm your shadow worker. I help you out. The deeper you go, the more you see. The deeper you go, the brighter you become. The deeper you go, the more you shine. And the darker it is, the more a little flicker of light will make a difference. Breathe indeed. Yes, Kwali, you're right. Nisi said, Vonnie said she still hasn't answered the question yet, writing it down. She hasn't written it down. Why haven't you written it down? What is it? You waiting for it? Why not just do it now? Let's speak to that. Okay, let's see. I got about 4 minutes. She said, I think I have so many challenges. Haven't pinpointed the greatest. That's a mind trick. That's a mind trick. Your ego is trying to with you. Beep with you. You would say, what's your greatest challenge? You said the question arose. What is your greatest challenge? The voice of the divine is asking you. You might not like this. And you said, please hold. I ain't ready to answer that yet. Please hold. And then you pick up the phone and say, oh, sorry to keep you waiting. I have so many challenges right now. I haven't pinpointed the greatest one. So please hold. And the universe is like, I have eternity. The question is, do you? If you have so many challenges and you can't pinpoint the greatest, just keep writing all the challenges that you have. And I will tell you, I'm telling myself, as I tell you, as I tell all the universal yous, there's only one challenge. There's only one problem. There's nothing you're dealing with, Dancer. It's just one. And it is believing that you're separated from God, believing that you're separate from your good. God is good, believing you're separate from God. So the challenges that are piling up, the problems that we have, the issues that we have, is believing that it ain't going to happen, or it's believing in separation. This is it. But if you have so many, write it. Just write it. It doesn't matter. There is no... The God of my understanding is not the God of, oh yeah, I asked you for one and you're not writing all this list. Bye. Girl, go sit your behind somewhere. No, right. And sometimes as you write all the challenges, you might get to the one. And sometimes when you get to the one that wants to be written, that wants to be expressed, you might just feel your heart swell. You might feel tears come down your cheeks and you're like, why am I even crying? Sometimes you got to dig to get to the treasure. Don't not dig because there's too much to dig through. Marion said, thank you for being here. Every time I tune in, I hear what I need to hear. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you too for that validation, the confirmation. Dorothy said, the deeper the void, the greater the form. That's right. And Vonice, I'm glad you're laughing. Yes. And let me look in here at IG because I know, Pat, you've been talking and I don't want to. Pat said, okay, I'm going to change my attitude about this situation. Change your attitude. Check your first thought. Okay, so here's the thing. I'll try not to go off on a tangent. So Pat said, I'm applying for a new place too. The income and bank statement requirement has me stressful. Yes. Allow the stress to stretch you in a very gentle way. Speak to the stress and ask. And watch before you give it a label like, oh my God, I knew they would come up with that bullshit. No, stop right there. Okay, God, here's an opportunity for me to see things differently. I don't know what it is. I got to stay focused. We got to catch ourselves before we get caught in bullshit. Pat said, you have people say, oh, yeah, I have been sent all over the place. I was almost going to be sent in another place today. And thank God for intuitions. I went to take a picture of a website. I'm saying, is this what you want me to come in and do today? Because my day is full. It's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, I've done that already. Yeah. You definitely have to have a sense of humor. Pat said, the message about allowing ourselves to grieve really resonates with me. My dad died last year and I still haven't fully grieved yet. Yes. And I would say this because I hear people say that. I worked with someone last week and they were saying they hadn't. And your question, what you're saying, is actually giving me some insight that I will share with her because we're going to work over a period of time. Your body knows how much you can take at a time. And there isn't a certain amount of grieving that needs to happen in a certain amount of time. You may not be feeling that, Pat, but just reading your comment just helped me gain a new awareness. Instead of saying, yeah, you don't want to look at it. Yes, pace yourself. And you know when you're running from it. And sometimes knowing when you find yourself saying, I ain't ready, that's also your heart, your mind, your spirit saying, yeah, you're not ready to go that deep. But don't file it away. Spend time at night to write about it. So yes, I don't know if you ever get to a point where you say, I fully grieve the death of my father. Whew, I'm free. I'm allowing myself to celebrate. Maybe, I don't know. Grief is part of life. We can grieve all that's going on in Afghanistan, in Nigeria, in America, in Cuba. We can grieve for those who couldn't grieve, for our ancestors, for mothers, for fathers, for children, for someone who's been abused, who's trying to they're trying to stay alive. Amal said, it's crazy out here in the Bay. Property owners are asking people to pay in cash in our neighborhoods, so we can't even buy homes in our community in Oakland. Yeah. It's crazy. It used to be it's hard out here for a pimp. It's crazy for all of us right now. If you never get anything out of this, I invite you to understand that grieving is part of your growth, it's part of your spiritual work, it's part of your healing. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it. If you allow yourself to grieve, get an expert. If you want to work with me, I'm available. Go to lifecoachade.com. If you're led to somebody else, if you want to do it yourself, just do the work. I can support you in moving through what you're moving through. You get to put a distance between you and it so you can see it for what it is. And you can recognize that, oh, I've been fearful. In fact, I have a fear of fear itself. And when you're able to look at it, sometimes that's all that's needed. Your awareness. Your awareness is the healing. To be able to call it out. I was abused. I feel less than. I feel like I don't belong. I struggle with in my relationship. Giving yourself permission to speak it out. It's the first step, part of the steps to claiming your power. And remember, healing happens in community. I am here, Pat. Reach out. I am here. Send me a message. Let's do the work. Time is now. And the work we do today creates space for those who are yet to come. Remember, you are future ancestors. So the work you do now clears the path for those who are coming behind you. There's so much more, but you got it. Let me just see if there's anything I need to remind you of. Join myself, Ricky Byers, and myself tomorrow, Wednesday, every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. UK time. Go to youtube.com/Ricky Byers. That's RICKIE Byers, BYARS. If you can't find it, just reach out to me. And join my mailing list on lifecoachade.com. I will send out information about the upcoming, the Shift Network. Yes. And whatever you're going through, I feel so full right now. I'm one of those dudes who don't have issues. I don't know if I don't have issues. I do sometimes. Like, stop leaking. Stop having liquid thoughts. But I am so in tune with my feelings that my expression, of course, tears doesn't mean something is wrong. Just like, okay, I feel it coming. Inside is tears. Tears for us all. Tears of joy. Tears of grief. And we got to learn to cry together. To lament together. Because life can be hard. And when we call it, when we name it, we don't internalize the hardship of life and think there's something wrong with us. When we don't name it, and we find ourselves in situations that we think something is wrong, we think something is wrong with us, we internalize it, and then we project it. All the injustice is all about that. Racism is about that. Greed is about that. Hate is about that. War is about that. Not naming that in life things can be challenging. We want to sanitize life. And then we end up internalizing what we don't want to acknowledge. And then when it's moving inside of us, we see ourselves as being wrong. I'm wrong. I'm not enough. I need to be fixed. And then in order to survive, it's too much to bear. We project that on somebody. I'm like this because of them. I'm like that because of that. I hate them. Someone said something the other day about a call center that is not in this country. And they said, it's in the something. It was not necessarily strong words, but the fact that the call center is in another country really didn't mean nothing. Because sometimes I speak to people in UK and the call center, I'm like, what are you talking about? Give me your, But we sometimes, because the corporations are trying to save money and they give people a script to read and then they're trying to keep a job. They're trying to feed their families, so they're reading the script. And you're like, you do not understand my frustration. Don't you dare tell me I understand, but shut the fuck up, okay? Because I'm sorry, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at your company. And you just happen to be working. Okay, let me hang up. I need to call back. Anyway, let me stop. Let me go. I'm out. What else do I need to tell you? Brucey, nice to see you. Yes. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you and I thank God for you. I feel like there's something else I need to share, but I don't know. But you catch it on some level. You catch it intuitively. Take care of yourself. Put yourself first. take care of yourself. Put yourself first. This is the time to do it. If you don't, ain't nobody else gonna do it because they want you to come help them. And then if you don't, they say you're selfish, and then you'll be mad. So you might as well be selfish. So when they call you selfish, you're like, you damn right I am, because I'm coming to help you. I need to take care of myself first. I love you. God bless you. I appreciate you, and I thank God for you. I'm getting out of here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll be back with Rev D for Tuesday of September, which is the 7th, I think it is. And I'll be back on Facebook mostly. Sometimes I don't get a lot of love on IG, so I might go live on Facebook with my drama and stuff. What else do I need to say? Go sign my mailing list. Let's do things together. And if you don't do it with me, do it with somebody else. I'm not attached. I'm a universal lover. I love you, and I'm out.
Be who you are. Let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah. When we unite. Yeah, yeah. Welcome here, love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
Hello, I'm back.